Coming up on today's Next Fan Up podcast.
I don't know. I just got a feeling. I'm going completely on gut. And, it's got that enzyme that A, makes you fart.
They don't do like, oh, not so good this year. We do the worst ever. That's what makes it special.
Have you ever cooked a turkey upside down?
Well, me or the turkey?
It's week 12 of the NFL, part 1. Here we go.
That's how we start. Yeah, baby.
32 super fans.
Where do the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One pod Vader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This,
no question about it,
is Next Fan Up.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to the Thanksgiving Day preview edition of the Next Fan Up podcast. Hey everybody, Pod Vader here. Hopefully, all I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is you should thank your lucky stars you were not privy to the pre-recording conversation that literally just occurred. That's all I have to say about that, because we're not going to get recipes about chipmunks on sticks or anything like that. Neil wants to sell this idea to McDonald's and have the McChipmunk being... Neil, this is ridiculous.
Well, I think actually, I hope listeners are not going to be stealing my ideas, because that is a $1 billion idea. Chipmunk on a stick. It's the future. I would say that as a more somber start to the show, Jay, and I know this is an NFL podcast, but lost one of my childhood's heroes today. I hear that the great Diego Maradona passed away today with a heart attack following a short illness. And terrible day for supporters of soccer. Certainly in my lifetime, I didn't see Pelé play, but in my lifetime, probably the greatest soccer player to don a football field. A terribly flawed man off the field, but equally absolutely flawless on the field. And I still, even though you guys know, I still play soccer twice a week, and I still have a pair of Maradona Puma King football boots, and I have those boots because he wore them when I was growing up, and they were always a great symbol of excellence. And I tell you how great he was, Jay. When I grew up, and you run around when you're a young kid, you want to be Drew Brees or Kenny Dalglish or Pelé or somebody when you're practicing in the backyard. I could never be Maradona because I could never agree with myself that I was anywhere near good enough to even run around the playground trying to be Maradona, because he was so far ahead of anything that I could ever achieve. So, what a great football player, and a sad loss to the football community today.
No doubt. Jeez.
Yeah. That voice that you hear, who will not be giving us recipes for chipmunks on a stick, to bring it back to the nonsense.
That's my recipe. Hands off.
Is Doc, Jeff Dockery, the award-winning gridiron chef. Hello, Doc.
All right, let's try and do this. Ready? There we go. There's the annual turkey sign. Greetings, salutations to you boys. And this is bounty time. So instead of a recipe, I highly suggest, of course, the turkey loving 5-fruit cranberry relish. But I shall deliver maybe some Thanksgiving hacks so that you can jack up your meal and take questions from the audience. So.
Hacks is what I'll be doing after I eat a chipmunk on a stick, or attempt to eat a chipmunk on a stick.
Well, Jay, what you can also have with it, of course, is a side order of crispy chipmunk ears.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah, and there's James, our Eagle superfan, who's been quiet because Neil, had to go all, mushy on us. James wasn't allowed to go all ham on you to keep the food theme going. Hello, James.
Oh, man. Let's get these 3 solid, I use air quotes because 2 out of 3 should be watchable games out the way for Thursday. And then we can swing back around later. Maybe talk about Sunday. But let's leave Monday out of this week.
We're going to talk about all the games. Although on this particular podcast, we are only talking about the Thanksgiving Day games. But before we jump into the first kickoff, I have a sponsor to tell you about. Yay! We are talking about Thrive Fantasy, ladies and gentlemen. They want you to come hashtag prop up on Thrive Fantasy this season. It's a daily fantasy sports app for player props. They've eliminated the need to do countless hours of research because they only ask you about the top tier athletes in a respective sport. So you don't need to know about, JC Jackson, like I told you about last week. Although JC Jackson is getting to be a top tier athlete. Anyway, in the NFL, you'll choose 10 out of the 20 player prop options to build your lineup. Each prop has a fantasy point total associated with the over or under based on its likelihood to occur. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points to win a share of the prize pool. Thrive has awarded over $1.4 million in prizes since launching in 2018. You use the promo code NEXTFANUP, all one word, doesn't have to be capitalized. It could be all lowercase or all uppercase. That's NEXTFANUP. That's our promo code. When you sign up today, you'll receive an instant $20 bonus on your first deposit of $20 or more. And I believe you're actually going to get a $50 bonus by doing this. So go download Thrive Fantasy on the App Store or Play Store, or visit their website, thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and hashtag prop up today. Use the promo code NEXTFANUP for that extra instant bonus on a $20 deposit. Pigskin Pick'em, ladies and gentlemen. Last week I got only 7 right straight up, 5 versus the spread. Vegas is killing me this year. I just cannot pick against the spread for anything. The power rankings also only got 7, and 9 was the best in the Pigskin Pick'em group. That was by Titan superfan Jordan, who keeps a 5-pick lead in the group. In the Eliminator, we finally have a winner. Niner Gary, who wrote in and said, hey, keep up with the Eliminator updates. Well, he won. He's also tied for 3rd in our Pigskin Pick'em group. He is the only perfect entrant through 11 weeks. The Vikings took out our other 2 contenders last week, so congrats to Gary on the victory. I'm going to not give you any totally useless stats at the beginning of the show because I got plenty of historical fascinating stats on each of these matchups. Are you guys ready for this? This is going to be
Get after.
Oh, gosh.
So let us kick off at 12:30. That is noon 30 Eastern on CBS. And we will start with the Houston Texans at the Detroit Lions. Texans are ranked 22nd in our power rankings. The Lions are 24th. The Texans favored by 3. Thursday's matchup marks the second Thanksgiving Day meeting between the Texans and Lions in Week 12 of the 2012 season. The Texans' only previous game on the holiday, wide receiver Andre Johnson registered 9 receptions for 188 yards, the second most receiving yards on Thanksgiving in NFL history, while defensive end J.J. Watt, who became J.J. SWAT again last week, recorded 3 sacks in Houston's 34-31 overtime win over Detroit, and it marked only the 5th game in league annals to go to overtime on Thanksgiving. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford passed for 441 yards in the contest, tied for the 3rd most passing yards on the Thanksgiving Day holiday, and this is the 5th regular season meeting between the two clubs, with Houston holding a 3-1 advantage in the series. I got more for you. Deshaun Watson has at least 2 touchdown passes and a rating of 100 or higher in 7 of his past 8 games. Wide receiver Will Fuller has 376 receiving yards, 125.3 per game, and a touchdown reception in his past 3 games on Thursdays, and aims for his 4th in a row on a Thursday with at least 5 receptions and 100 receiving yards. I don't know what it is about Thursdays and Will Fuller, but they are agreeable. In 9 career games on Thanksgiving, Matthew Stafford has 2,705 passing yards, the most of any player in NFL history on the holiday. He also has 17 touchdown passes on Thanksgiving, which trails only one quarterback who has 18. Do you gentlemen happen to know who that one quarterback is?
Do tell.
It is Tony Romo. Kevin is silently wiping away a tear for Tony Romo. that was all a lot of information, totally useless stats to say we're all taking the Texans against the Detroit Lions. It's pretty funny, James, because we didn't do an NFL Sound Off podcast this week, but I do remember last week's Sound Off, the Detroit press were all excited about the win that the Lions had, and we're talking playoffs. Matt Patricia, to his credit, did say, we're just trying to take it one win at a time. And then they lose, and now Matt Patricia's back on the hot seat where I guess he belongs.
Well, that's what happens when you get blanked by a team who decide 5 minutes before the start of the game their quarterback's not playing. And they bring in the XFL superstar who lights them up for like 250-plus yards. So despite throwing 2 interceptions, I mean, you'd figure he throws 2 picks, the Detroit Lions would find a way to get into the game, and they remain scoreless. Look, despite the fact, they lost last week, which wasn't a shock, is the fact that they didn't score at all. Yep. And that's a problem because we talked about how young this Panthers defense is. And I know it's late in the season. They're probably rounding into form, but still there's a lot of youth to be taken advantage of in that secondary, and this offense couldn't do it.
Are we looking at Golladay and Swift? Are they going to be out for this game? Because if so, I can see them scoring less than 0.
I'll let you do your things, James, but I know Swift is back at practice full. Galladay's probably out.
Yeah. So briefly on the big names here, Danny Amendola, TJ Hawkinson, Matthew Stafford, Kenny Golladay, DeAndre Swift are all listed as questionable right now with their respective injuries, hip, shoulder, thumb, hip, and concussion protocol. So the one I'd be most worried about is actually Swift because the protocol is something that the NFL doesn't play with. So unless he clears that Thursday morning, he will not play. That's probably the most concerning one for me. Matthew Stafford did play through his right thumb injury on Sunday, so he should be fine this week.
All right.
For the Texans.
Yeah, I was going to say, might as well just roll through this because while I think this is probably, maybe the next one will be a pretty close game. Actually, they're all probably going to be pretty close. The problem is, it's just a boring game.
Well, Randall Cobb is not going to play in this game. He has a toe injury and is seeking a second medical opinion. Kenny Stills is listed as questionable, along with Saneo Kelemeti, the guard, is also listed as questionable.
Jay, I would ask you just a question. Obviously, you played Houston last week and lost narrowly to them. Next year, Bill Belichick coaching the Texans or the Patriots?
That's a funny question. I believe he'll still be in New England. I don't foresee. Did you hear something otherwise?
No, I was just looking at the game and thinking about it as it was played last week, thinking, would Belichick rather be on the Texans? Because Watson, I tell you something, that guy Watson, it's a shame he's playing on such a terrible team because he is a terrific player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this. I mean, Belichick has full control over the New England Patriots. If he's upset with the way the team is currently, it's his fault. He's the one that has put the team in the position that it is in right now. Now, one could argue that Brady sort of dictated a few things at the end that Belichick didn't exactly like and kept going to the owner to have the owner interfere. But overall, Belichick is in full control of the Patriots, so he can bring the team in whatever direction he wants.
Well, Jay, like you said on the the replay podcast that we did a couple of weeks ago, Belichick had a nice little soundbite. It was like, over the last 3 to 5 years, they mortgaged the future to win now, and hey, it brought them 3 Super Bowls over that span. So now you're paying for it.
Is Easterby the only expatriate now with the Texans, or is there other guys there too?
Crennel is obviously an expatriate who's the current interim coach. I believe there's a couple of other assistants, but none are coming to mind right now. I keep thinking Wes Welker, but Welker's with the Niners right now.
So there's no sort of like moving, like the Baltimore, moving the team in the night. And he's been doing it with his coaches, slowly moving them across to Houston, ready for his big leap.
No, that's definitely not something that's occurring. That, and I do believe that the Texans, if they are looking for a fresh start, want to make a fresh cut from that particular coaching tree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think Watson is almost interviewing right now for a new job with a new coach? I mean, he'll probably play out of his mind again.
Doc, you know what I think, Doc? I think Watson's playing because I think they might trade him at the end of the year.
You think so?
Well,
I don't know about that salary cap, man. I just think if you are trying to court Eric Bieniemy or somebody, whoever it is, and you want an offensive mind, I mean, you want him to the Texans versus, hey, I'd really like to work with fill-in-the-blank quarterback. I think Deshaun is interviewing for a job right now. I think he wants to put this team on his back the next 3-4 games and attract the best candidates possible. What do you think?
Yeah, it's fair.
He was the offensive player of the week this past week.
If he's going to leave Houston, I would love to put him in a nice green jersey in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, James, that's any prospective young aspiring head coach, what they're looking for when they look at NFL jobs, they're looking for a team that has a quarterback in place. That is the ultimate, and in some instances, the only thing that's important. And if you've got that, I mean, they're going to be queuing up, aren't they, to take that job if Watson's there, because you've got the main guy in place. He seems like a team guy. He seems like a decent guy, and what a player! What a player!
I don't think there are many teams that wouldn't have a jersey waiting for Mr. Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
and frankly, he could keep the navy blue with red and white and just make a trip to the north.
No. You guys have had enough fun for the last 20 years. Let some of us have some.
How about Detroit? As I said, the press was talking playoffs with Detroit literally just 2 weeks ago. Now they're back to looking at, oh boy, this is a lost season and Matt Patricia is still our head coach. What do we think about Detroit at this point? And what do we think about Matthew Stafford's future in Detroit?
Bye-bye.
Matthew Stafford's been done for like the last 2 to 3 years, honestly. Look, I don't understand this whole thing of, like, the talk around Stafford's pretty much been the talk similar to Phillip Rivers. Like, this guy deserves to win, and he deserves this, and he deserves that. It's like all this postseason stuff he supposedly deserves because he's been playing well. And the truth is, he's just a guy. And Phillip Rivers is just a guy. And these are quarterbacks who basically pile up a bunch of stats that don't necessarily impact the game or help their team win. And yeah, they look good. The stats look good on paper, but when you watch him play, you don't feel like there's a chance, okay, they're going to win this game. You just don't. I mean, the game against Washington that they somehow won is a game that Washington should have completed a comeback and pulled away from them and just flat out failed to do because other elements, took advantage of that. But it had nothing to do with Stafford. Like, he has zero impact on the game and its outcome whatsoever. It's more so everyone else around him. It's the defense either making a play or not making a play. It's his position players around him making a play or not making a play. But it's never really him who's making the play or not making the play. He's just there.
I would sort of disagree with you.
Yeah,
because TJ Hawkinson is the leading wide receiver for this team, and Adrian Peterson is the leading running back for this team.
He's also, if I'm not right, and if I'm not, I think I'm right in saying there's 28 fourth quarter comebacks. Gives him a percentage which ranks him second in league history in terms of fourth quarter comebacks. I wonder, James, if Matthew Stafford has suffered from just never finding that head coach, offensive coordinator tandem, to make them a tandem like we see so many other great successful quarterbacks over the years. He's just never really had that. They've never really had a team. Like it's in a way, obviously not as extreme, but it's a bit like the whole Barry Sanders in Detroit. You've got a really, really top player who never has a team around him in his career, and you wonder with with Stafford. Has
I
he
wouldn't
ever
go
had
that
a?
far with Stafford, though.
No, I'm
I
not.
wouldn't go that far with Stafford.
I'm not suggesting Stafford is Barry Sanders, obviously, but what I'm saying is he's obviously I think he has the ability, and he's got. I mean, we haven't seen many arms like that in our lifetimes, and yet he's got these great fourth quarter comebacks, but he's never had a team.
Okay, well, he had Jim Bob Cooter as an offensive coordinator. They sacked him.
Yeah, for 10 minutes.
He had a
Darryl
head coach who had back-to-back winning seasons. They canned him to hire Patricia. He had Megatron, who he wasted, who arguably one of the greatest wide receivers in this game and of all time, if not the last 20 years, and wasted that.
Yeah.
They've only had, 2 playoff berths, no division title in his career.
But James,
I was meaning
James. It could be Joe Blogs off the street. I don't think he's ever had that relationship with an offensive coordinator or head coach that made them like a Brady and a Belichick or a Walsh and Montana or a Walsh and Young or whatever. That sort of relationship. It doesn't matter who it is. And the other thing I would say is, my view, wide receiver is the most overrated position in the game.
By the way, the Detroit does have one thing. They have the best punter in the game. Jack Fox leads the league with a 50.6 average and a 46.3 net average.
Huh.
So there's one thing they do right: punt.
Well, he gets plenty of practice currently, doesn't he? So
I guess so. All right,
Game number 2.
It's only game number 2.
Oh, and by the way, this is the second worst combined DVOA scored teams to play on Thanksgiving in the Lions' history. There you go.
This game kicks off at 4:30 p.m. according to my schedule here. Is that right? For some reason, I thought the second game kicked off earlier than typical 4 o'clock games.
No. It's a little later because of the day. They want to make sure that the first game is over, even if it is a little bit of overtime, which shouldn't happen.
Well, the first game is starting earlier than normal, and the second game is kicking off a little bit later than normal. I don't know. Anyway, Washington football team is 29th in our power rankings. They remain steady there. The Dallas Cowboys moved up to 28th in the power rankings after someone on this podcast declared them an upset special last week and was ridiculed for it, despite the fact that their upset special did not come through. Neil.
I'll accept your apologies at any time, guys.
Sure. The Dallas Cowboys are favored in this one by 3 points. Washington and Dallas. Washington and Dallas meet for the 120th time in the regular season, with the Cowboys holding a 73-44-2 series advantage. Dallas has won 8 of the 9 meetings between the two franchises on Thanksgiving, including each of the past 2. In their last meeting on the holiday, which was week 12 of the 2018 season, wide receiver Amari Cooper had 8 catches for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns in the Cowboys' 31-23 victory. Cooper's 90-yard touchdown reception from Dak Prescott marks the second longest completion on Thanksgiving in NFL history. That was a few years ago. How about we bring it to today? Quarterback Alex Smith has thrown at least 2 touchdown passes in 3 of his 4 career starts against the Cowboys. Rookie running back Antonio Gibson rushed for 94 yards and a touchdown last week, has a rushing touchdown in 4 consecutive games, and that is tied for the longest active streak in the NFL. In his past 4 starts on Thursdays, Andy Dalton has 8 touchdown passes with no interceptions for a 107 rating. Running back Ezekiel Elliott in 3 career games on Thanksgiving has 400 scrimmage yards, 133.3 per game, and 3 rushing touchdowns, aims for his 4th in a row on Thanksgiving with at least 120 scrimmage yards. The power rankings are going with the Cowboys, but James and Doc are going with the Cowboys. Neil and I are going with Washington. Neil, I know why you're going with Washington, because they're your team, but you're usually pretty down on them.
Yeah, I just think offensively we're better than we were when we played them in, what was that, week 6, week 7 when we played them already this season. And we crushed them in that game, and we absolutely crushed them. And that was against that was against Andy Dalton for most of the game until we knocked him out of the game late on. So, and I think our offense is better. We've got obviously, it's not Kyle Allen at quarterback this time. It's Smithy. So I can't see anything other than Washington win. We dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball in the last game, but more so our defense dominated their offensive line. I know they've got Martin back, and he's playing, I believe, right tackle at the moment. But I can only see Washington crushing Dallas. I can't see anything else here in this game. Their defense, okay, they played a little bit better, the defense in the last few weeks at Dallas, but it's still ranked way down defensively. They're number 26, 27 in the league. No, I can't imagine why Dallas are favorites here. They're going to get pounded again.
Well, I do think Andy Dalton improves what they were doing.
Well, in the first matchup,
after his concussion,
in the first game, Andy Dalton went 9 of 19 for 75 yards and an interception, and he was sacked, I believe, I'm going to say 7 times. I'm just checking that now. 6 times. So no, forget about it.
All right, Doc, you like the Cowboys?
I'm just thinking momentum at this point. That's all I'm thinking. I mean, I'm wishing Smith could carry this team to the playoffs. I think it would be a great story, but like being the prettiest Denny's waitress at this point. But I don't know. I just got a feeling. I'm going completely on gut. And I think that as much as I like what Rivera is doing, and I like the Alex Smith story, and I think that defensive line, I mean, Andy Dalton was lost. I remember that 9 of 19 or whatever it was, and then Ben DiNucci. And I just think there's a little more normality right now with the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys. I wish ill will on them every week, but I just think that right now I'm going to go with the momentum. As much as I think Alex Smith will continue to put up great numbers, he's not a great scoring quarterback. He's a great game manager plus. He's always efficient, contributes to the W's, but he's not going to – I mean, he's had one game to me in his entire playoff life against, I think it was Andrew Luck. Remember that shootout like 5-6 years ago in the wild card game? It was one of the best wild card games ever. He looked like Joe Montana that game. But right now, I just think I'm happy he's playing, but I just think the momentum stays with the Cowboys. That's all.
All right,
we're going to skewer them like a chipmunk on a stick.
Oh gosh, Pod, you mentioned the spread being 3 points. That's interesting considering kickers for both teams on the injury report. Greg Zuerlein is nursing a back injury, and Dustin Hopkins is massaging that inner thigh. So both kickers showing up here. Both are listed as questionable, so they should play. Also for Washington, Terry McLaurin has an ankle injury. He was limited in practice.
He'll play
on Tuesday. He should play because I'm pretty sure he wants to feast on his secondary again, just like he did the first time.
He's looking for his third in a row versus Dallas with a touchdown reception.
Yeah, Anthony Brown, the cornerback, is nursing rib injury, so he's doubtful.
So I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Mike McCarthy apparently last week to get his team ready. Brought out a bunch of watermelons like Gallagher and smashed them with a sledgehammer.
Put vodka in him first.
Couldn't he have chosen something a bit more manly?
Well, Ron Rivera was asked during his press conference yesterday what he could do to get his team fired up. And Ron Rivera said, well, I could get a sledgehammer and some pumpkins and smash them.
Yeah, I mean, how lame was that? I mean, what's next? I ripped a tissue in half on my bare hands. Jeez.
Oh, boy. All right, James, you didn't actually tell me any of your thoughts on this game. You just gave me an injury report.
Yeah, James is behind Washington all the way.
If the surface around Cowboy Stadium just suddenly opened up this gaping hole and some giant Snarlack came out and just swallowed everything up, that would be great, and I wouldn't have to worry about either of these teams going forward. But again, this game is for first place, and to say I don't care is apropos. But I mean, gun to my head, Dallas, I guess. I don't know. Maybe Washington. I don't know. Somebody's going to. I mean, barring a tie, because I mean,
Pick the tie.
we had another one of those happen.
We are 100% having a team with a losing record in the playoffs this year, aren't we?
Yes. There's
You're also going to have two in with 10 wins.
500.
Two out with 10 wins. Yeah.
There's just not enough games left to get these teams, any of these teams in the East to 9 wins? No chance. No chance.
Dave, if you look at each team in this division, all of them have had a losing streak of 4 or 5 games so far to this point. All of them. Not 4 out of 5, not 5 out of 6. No, they've lost 4 or 5 straight games. Yeah. Every single team in this division.
But James, I'd rather look at it in a positive sense and to say that our division is so strong that all 4 teams are still fighting for a playoff spot.
Neil, I don't know what it is you've been consuming before we came on air, but I would like some after we get off air to relax myself.
Unless James' predicted tie comes true this week between these two teams, the Giants have a good chance of taking the lead.
Absolutely.
As they have the Bengals this week, the Eagles have the Seahawks. Actually, James, I believe you mentioned the Seahawks, Packers, Saints, Cardinals. Your team's in
the next
trouble.
4 games, yeah.
Right.
Trouble. No,
but as I look at the coming weeks for the entire NFC East, next week looks like an over week. Ravens, at Packers, at Steelers, at Seahawks. I don't see any NFC East team beating those teams.
Pod, I heard somewhere this week that this conference is en route to the worst out-of-division record in the history of football. I don't know if it's true. I haven't looked it up, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, this division, absolutely.
And that's what great divisions do. They don't do things in halves. They don't do like, oh, not so good this year. We do the worst ever. That's what makes it special.
Superlatives.
But it's not the worst ever.
It will be.
It's not, and it also won't be the first time a division winner had a losing record. Again, remember back to the old days of the AFC Central, in which that division winner was constantly 7-9.
Yeah, but this you might get a team in at 6-10.
Yeah.
You mean 6-9-1?
Oh, that'd be terrible.
And
by the way, week 14, the Cowboys get a chance to take over the lead because they'll have the Bengals. But then the rest of you have the Saints, Niners, and Cardinals. Basically, it's that pesky NFC West that's doing you dirty. Because week 15, it's Niners, Cardinals, Seahawks, Browns for the Giants. But that's a loss for the Giants. So that's another 0 for week. Then 16 and 17, we've got the interdivision games.
Interdivisional games, yeah. And that's the only thing that's saving this division is the teams with division games left.
But Jay, you're just saying a team with 6 wins is going to win. I wasn't hearing 6 wins for any team there. 5 at the most, surely.
Oh boy, if you guys get a team in the playoffs with only 5 wins, that's something to be proud of. Definitely.
I'll tell you one thing. I put money on it now. If whoever goes through 5-11, 6-10, I bet you they win a playoff game. I bet you that'll send America into a tailspin, won't it?
Wait, America isn't already in a tailspin?
That's true. It's true. Yeah.
Hey, the Seahawks
will get to it.
7-9, and they won a playoff game by beating the Saints after they came off a Super Bowl victory. The Panthers went in at 7-8-1, won a playoff game against the Arizona
Seahawks
Cardinals.
did the same, didn't they? 1 year.
Yeah, I mentioned the Seahawks. Yeah, the Seahawks. Yeah. The 7-9 year Beastquake. They beat the Saints.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the Thursday night game.
And let me just say, Jay, at least the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots. What are they, 4-6? You'd be charging ahead in this division, huh?
That's very true. We would be dominating the NFC East right now. All right, the Thursday night game, which may or may not happen.
Oh no, it's happening.
It is the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, as of the time of this recording, what James is saying is true. The Baltimore Ravens are planning on traveling to Pittsburgh to play. However, they continually add more and more players to the COVID list. To me, even if they do end up playing, they're without two of their starting running backs in J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram. They are without, I think there was a key defensive player that got added to the COVID list just yesterday.
Williams, the defensive lineman, yes.
On top of the defensive linemen, they've had defensive lineman injury issues over the past couple of weeks. To me, I don't think it matters if the Ravens play this game or not. The Steelers, the undefeated Steelers, are going to remain undefeated. And the Steelers have finally retaken the number one spot in the power rankings. They are ranked 1. The Ravens have fallen to 13. Steelers are favored by 4.5 if this game actually happens.
It's happening.
In their previous meeting on Thanksgiving, which was week 13 of the 2013 season, Baltimore kicker Justin Tucker tied a Thanksgiving Day record by connecting on 5 field goals as the Ravens beat the Steelers 22-20. Thursday marks the second meeting of the season between the two AFC North rivals. In week 8, Ben Roethlisberger threw 2 second-half touchdowns, and the Steelers' defense forced 4 turnovers in Pittsburgh's 28-24 win at Baltimore. The Steelers can clinch the first NFL playoff berth, speaking of playoffs, this week. They need to win, plus a Miami loss or tie. That's not happening. And a Las Vegas loss or tie, assuming both the Dolphins and Raiders don't tie. So we already have playoff scenarios for at least one team. Lamar Jackson passed for 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, for a 134.4 rating in his only career start on Thursday, which was December 12th, 2019 versus the Bengals. He aims for his 3rd in a row on the road against the AFC North with at least 3 touchdown passes and a rating of 120 or higher. He's going to need to be throwing because he's certainly not going to have any running backs to run with. Tight end Mark Andrews recorded his 6th touchdown reception of the season last week, leads all tight ends with 16 touchdown catches since 2019. In his last 4 home starts against Baltimore, Big Ben has thrown for 349.8 yards per game with 12 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. In his last start on Thanksgiving, which was in 2016, he passed for 3 touchdowns and had a 146 rating. Wide receiver Chase Claypool leads all rookies with 10 touchdowns, 8 receiving, 2 rushing. He is the first wide receiver in the Super Bowl era and the 4th in league history with at least 10 touchdowns in his first 10 career games, joining Billy Houghton, who had 11 touchdowns in 1952, Bill Groman, 10 touchdowns in 1960, and Harlan Hill, who had 10 in 1954. Basically, Chase Claypool is a throwback. Steelers allow the fewest points per game this season, 17.4, and lead the NFL in sacks with 38 and takeaways with 21. I see no way that the Ravens can win this game. Neil and Doc disagree.
Well, before if I may go first, Doc, I have another question for you, Jay, and for you guys, because we have to talk about it, don't we? What are they, 10-0 at the moment?
Yes.
Yep.
So there are 6 games left. So just give me, I'll tell you which games they're playing. You can tell me which one they're going to lose. So Steelers at Ravens.
They're winning.
Yeah, they win this one.
Steelers at Washington.
They're winning.
Win.
Bills at Steelers.
That would be the only one.
That one is definitely on the line.
Bengals at the Steelers.
Yeah, the Steelers are winning.
Steelers at Colts.
Come on,
Colts
don't
have
be
a
funny.
shot. No, I think the Colts have a shot.
They have a shot.
Okay, so 1, that's week 16, which is the second to last week in December, I believe. That game is in Pittsburgh. There's no way the Colts are winning that game.
It's in Indianapolis. Or yeah.
No, it's in Pittsburgh.
I have it at Pittsburgh.
Okay,
that game is in Pittsburgh. And also it's the last home game of the season because the last week of the season they're at Cleveland,
which is another one that I would give the Browns a shot. Especially because the Steelers at that point are going to have everything locked up. They don't need to play the starters.
I'm reading it. I'm doing a UK site, so it's gone home team first as opposed to the Americans where you go home team second. So, yeah, so it's Steelers at Ravens. Steelers at home to the Ravens, sorry. Steelers at home to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Steelers at the
Buffalo.
Bills. At Buffalo, and at Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
At Buffalo, home to the Colts, at the Browns. Those are the 3 games that they most have to be concerned with.
But
I
you
would
can
not
see
be
it, couldn't
concerned
you?
with the Colts.
You could see it 16-0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's possible.
Absolutely.
Definite possibility.
If they beat the
Breaking news, gentlemen. Breaking news. This game has, in fact, been postponed until Sunday afternoon. Shall we move this to the other show, or shall we?
Yes.
No
Shall
way.
we talk about it now?
Is it official?
Adam Schefter, Ravens-Steelers game postponed until Sunday afternoon. The breaking news was courtesy of my son, who came in and told me to check my Twitter.
All right, is it going to make much difference? Really?
I don't think so. I don't think it changes our assessment of this game. Although, Neil, you have picked the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, I know. The last time the Steelers swept the series was 2017, so not that long ago. But I just kind of felt I watched the first game, and I'm still not quite sure how the Ravens lost it. They should have won that first game. They were by far the better team, and they just did the usual thing where Jackson appears to struggle against top quality opposition, and they lost it somehow. So if that was to go in a similar vein, then I could certainly see the Ravens, getting that share of the series this year.
Well, they got to throw the ball.
Yep.
And I'll just say, I mean, this is a story of diminishing returns for the Ravens. I mean, they're 1-3 last 4, but tight ends last year, $1.25 as far as receptions, 14 TDs, D line without Brian Williams, I think, and Calais Campbell. 173 yards on the ground. Now Pittsburgh should be able to run the ball, but the secret sauce here is this team is not the same without Ronnie Stanley.
Absolutely.
5-1 with him, 30 points a game. Lamar, it's just diminishing returns. He's going to drop 12 TDs this year. He's got projected to have more interceptions this year. He's only had 99 throws when losing and 7 sacks. This year, 87 already and 9 sacks. Biggest blemish. Can they come back? Can he be a pro-style quarterback and throw himself to a victory? I'm saying I think their backs are against the wall right now, and the interdivision games are always close. So why not get a fumble here or something weird happen? Because I don't know what it is. I cannot say, which means there's no science involved. This is a soft, undefeated team. They're great D. They got weapons. Claypool's playing out of his mind. There's just something about this team right now. I mean, are you going to take them against the Chiefs right now?
No.
In a sprint?
I mean, if the game is in Pittsburgh, possibly.
Yeah, I think they could give the Chiefs a game. I mean, we just saw the Raiders give the Chiefs a game, and I think the Steelers are better than the Raiders.
Absolutely.
Especially from a defensive standpoint. So I think the problem is
it's not a slam.
If you have a strong defense playing against that Chiefs offense, you need to have a strong running game. And James and I have discussed that Steelers right now, their running game has been really poor.
That's being nice. Putrid is the proper word. Repugnant, disgusting, non-effective, invisible.
That said, Big Ben does have the weapons to keep up in a shootout against Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, listen, it'd be a great game. It'll be a fun one, especially for offenses everywhere.
Well, it's going to be a close
injuries
one
briefly.
I think.
Along with Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell showing up in the injury report, both listed as questionable. Mark Andrews, a tight end, has a thigh injury, but he's listed as questionable, as well as Matt Judon. For the Steelers, Vance McDonald is out. He has been designated to return from the injury list, but he will not play. Joe Hayden has a knee injury. Trey Edmonds, the running back, has a hamstring injury. Roethlisberger was a limited participant in practice due to a quad injury. So that's something to keep an eye on. Not like he can move much anyway.
Yeah, we're not worried about that.
Juju Smith-Schuster is nursing a toe injury. He was also limited on Tuesday. Cam Hayward also shows up as questionable.
The one thing I will add is those two running backs, Ingram and Dobbins, would be eligible to return
for Sunday if they
COVID
clear
list for Sunday, right? Assuming they're cleared, exactly.
assuming they're cleared. But right now, it's all aboard the Gus bus.
They certainly need them because their passing game is the second worst passing attack in the league. So,
unless you play the top 10 defense of the New England Patriots.
I think I've already checked that for you today, Jay, that New England's defense is currently ranked 16.
Yeah, it's not a top 10 defense.
No.
We'll put a pin in this one and still say tentative. I mean, we'll leave it here for Thursday with the caveat that it's being moved to Sunday, but
we can talk some
can wrap
turkey.
this up.
Let's talk turkey.
Oh,
then.
turkey. What do you got for us? What are some hacks you got for us, Doc?
Hacks. All right. Well, a couple things. I don't know how many of you guys are involved in your Thanksgiving Day cooking.
Zero.
If you're doing something, but a few hints I like to give. One is, have you ever cooked the turkey upside down?
Well, me or the turkey?
All right.
Should have known that was coming.
Couple of hacks, and these are well known, but I mean, not everybody does it because it's your grandma or mom or cooks. But I there is no better food in the world than smoked Cajun turkey stock. So if you're going to smoke your bird, email me at tailgatehomegatenation@gmail. I'll send you a recipe. You'll sip this stuff. It's like elixir. Brine your bird. A lot of families do not brine the turkey. Brine your bird. Get a recipe. I just something as simple as a cup of brown sugar, a cup of salt. Get the salt in there, and with some lemons or whatever you want, and some herbs. Brine your bird at least 24 hours, and then cook the bird upside down. You can do little hacks like rubbing herb butter under the skin of the bird, but cook it upside down because the base of the bird is less exposed to heat. We all know we've had dry white meat and moist, tender, dark meat. Well, the dark meat comes up to speed. I think you get a more even cook. There's the first hack. So I don't know.
By the way, our Kansas City Chiefs superfan Nick is brining his bird. He sent us a picture of it already.
Nice. All right. Dressing versus stuffing. I mean, very few people stuff their bird, but mess around with your stuffing, aka dressing. Right? You know, Neil, what do you do?
Well,
if you cook bird with stuffing.
Yeah, first of all, Doc, obviously we don't have Thanksgiving, but we do have turkey at Christmas time, obviously.
Yeah.
I generally stuff the bird either with haggis or with, I do like a sort of sage and onion stuffing or a chestnut and apple stuffing.
Yeah.
I like a nice bacon lattice over the top of the bird.
Nice.
Bacon.
Nice. Yeah.
But the question I would ask you, Doc, though, and I think it's a question that we've been talking about on our Slack channel, is, and I'm asking for Monty here, he likes his meat raw, preferably still with a beating heart, I think. Would you have turkey or ribs for Thanksgiving? And if you're not having turkey, what's an alternative protein, if you like, then for Thanksgiving that would be acceptable in the Doc household?
Prime rib. Prime rib. I'd smoke a prime rib when I've done that because you got a month, eh? I mean, turkey twice, and it's got that enzyme that makes you fart, and it makes you go to sleep, and that's the stretchy sweatpants. That's what makes a stretchy sweatpants day. Right? So
that sounds like Monty.
So yeah, it's like. I'm going to tell you something, man. If you can ever smoke a turkey, it's more flavorful than deep fried turkey if you've ever had deep fried bird, but just something I like to do. I like to use the whole bird. So, man, you just get that smoked turkey stock and you boil it down. It is just elixir. Go ahead.
There's a very famous chef over in this country. She's called Nigella Lawson.
Know her very well.
There you go. I wish I did.
In her early days, I had wet dreams about her. Yes.
Indeed,
my!
No, I won't go into that. It's too rude for the podcast. But I would say that her thing a few years ago was putting the turkey into a marinade, I suppose, of Coca-Cola. and she would have lots of herbs and all the rest of it. Anyway,
It works. Hey, I got a recipe I do every year for football, Coca-Cola chicken. I did it on the college podcast.
Now, what could be more American than Thanksgiving turkey and Coca-Cola?
When you get all that caramel, you get that caramelized.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. The sugar was kind of caramelizing, I guess.
It's great. Season some chicken thighs, bone in, skin on, and throw them in a bag, and just a full 2-liter bottle of Coke, and let them marinate for 24 hours, and then take that out, boil it, and then boil the Coca-Cola down, add some of your seasonings, and have a Coca-Cola barbecue sauce. It's the simplest recipe. So, last hack, a lot of you love green bean casserole. Boys, do you have it?
No, sorry, we don't do. I don't do casseroles on Thanksgiving
unless there's roadkill in it.
It's just green beans. It's green beans.
I also don't do vegetable. What are vegetables? What are these things that people?
Oh no!
I mean, I need my collards. I need my green beans. Yeah, those two are fine. Collard greens, green beans. I could do with those, but outside of that, not a lot of veggies.
Okay.
So James, just for future reference, let me make a note of this here. How about a nice avocado dip to go with the chipmunk? No,
I hate avocado.
Oh, okay. I'll think of something else.
To me, avocado has no taste, and I don't like bland things.
Gosh, you guys, you've never sounded more American in all the time I've known you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Actually, the thing here about Americans from other countries is that their taste buds are bland, and that they can't stand any food with genuine taste.
So what's your hack here for green bean casserole?
Last hack, green bean casserole. Listen, whatever you do with it, mushroom soup, everybody likes to do mushroom soup, but that crispy topping everybody loves. That's the attraction of green bean casserole, right? Those crispy onion bits on top. Mm-hmm. Do them yourself. Don't go to the grocery store and buy the French's fried crispies or whatever they call them. Add some Cajun seasoning and some flour, dredge those suckers, and just do them in a pan, and then top your green bean casserole with some Cajun onion straws. Really simple.
Are you talking about beans that are out of the pod, or are you talking about the runner beans that you can have in the pod?
No, the in pod. That's what a green bean casserole is.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
And listen, we'll do a collard green recipe, James, at some point, because there's nothing better than smoked fat back or whatever protein you add to your collard greens. It's simply one of the great Southern dishes in the history of food. We'll have to do that another time.
Okay, so you're sitting at your Thanksgiving meal, and you've got your big turkey in the middle there. What sort of sides and things, vegetables and onion rings, sides, potatoes? What's the kind of standard thing over there for you guys? Would it be red cabbage or
no.
What is it? What's the thing?
Mashed potatoes and corn.
Corn as in like corn on the cob sort of stuff?
Yeah, but it's not on the cob.
It's just like sweet corn, the yellow bits.
Yeah. Well, here's another one, another hack. I think that we sell ourselves short when we use russet potatoes. There is a million great French-style mashed potato recipes out there, but I'll tell you what I love, red potatoes. They stand up with a little bit of mayo, a little bit of full-fat sour cream, some garlic, and use a mixer and whip those son of a bees, and then they're perfect for a turkey gravy.
So when you say red potatoes, do you mean sweet potato or no?
No. Red skin potatoes.
Red skin potatoes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're better for you. The starch just is different. They're better in potato salad and they're better in mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I find it hard to beat dauphinoise potatoes, to be honest. The sort of sliced with the sauce. I absolutely love that. And then you do get the top ones are sort of like sort of burned and a little crispy on the top. Yeah.
And of course, you got your turkey loving. Listen, everybody can go to the 5-fruit cranberry relish, the one, and it's just a nice set aside from normal cranberry sauce or cranberry jelly, which is gross. And you get that fresh fruit. And then when you're done with it and you're on your 4th beer and sick of listening to your mother-in-law, add it to some vanilla ice cream and you got yourself a dessert. It's 2 for 1.
Yeah,
we haven't even talked about the dessert. The apple pie, the chocolate cream pie, the cheesecake, the ice cream. That is where I do my damage. All right,
Pod, I got one for you, bro, because I know 70% of us love pumpkin pie, but there's 30% of us that don't. I have a new pie recipe I did this week, and it is, everybody loves fruit in pies. most people do.
I bet you Jade doesn't.
Well,
Apple pie? There's nothing more American than apple pie, Neil.
I will send you an apple pie recipe, my friend Pod, that will choke a pig. It is simply the best apple pie in the history of apple pie. And it's from some lady in the country. And I went to learn. I said, you got to teach me how to make your crust. Well, the great thing is I got, apples are not in season, obviously. So fresh fruit and banana. I love banana and I love strawberry together. So I made a custard, put it in that beautiful apple pie crust that lady gave me, and I learned how to make. And then I did a crumble topping, and you refrigerated, and it came out 4.8 out of 5 stars. That's just literally 72 hours ago. I got one piece left in the fridge. If you want the recipe, it would take you no more than 45 minutes to make. If you can just thaw some frozen strawberries and cut some bananas, you got yourself a fruit pie. Obviously left of center of apple or traditional pumpkin.
Nice, though. Sounds nice. If I go back to the mains for one last thing before we get back to this irritating football
We got to
thing.
get to the next show.
Yeah. I quite like from my turkey. I like the Hasselback potatoes. When you cut them very thinly, and then I like those because you also get a bit of chewiness with them as well. I don't like all this slop of mash this and mash that and pureed the next thing. So I quite like that too, Doc. Nice.
Hasselback with green onion and Parmesan on top.
Oh, Parmesan on top is just,
absolutely.
Beautiful.
All right, get on with it. Yeah, we'll talk food for the weekend.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are thankful for all of the food that Doc tells us about every single week. We are thankful to all the super fans that are here. Neil we're thankful for the interruptions Neil does when we're trying to wrap things up.
Can I just make a suggestion? We could get this through quite quickly. Okay, here we go. Right, Raiders will win, Chargers win, Giants, Browns, Titans, Dolphins, Panthers, and
tomorrow's
Cardinals.
Show. What are you doing?
Right. So can we get back to the
show, Neil?
Can we get back to the food now?
No, we cannot. We're so thankful. We've partnered up here with Thrive Fantasy. Go to thrivefantasy.com. Use promo code NextFanUp. You'll get that $50 on a $20 deposit. Go check that out. We'll be back again tomorrow with the rest of Week 12 in the NFL. There you have it.
Dear friends and colleagues, saying goodbye is never easy. I believe we can all feel proud of what we have done together, and through it all, you have maintained your professionalism and commitment and remained true to the spirit of the Charter. That principle.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.